Love. Mm. Mm. To the house of woman unto the custody of Hedge, the king's chamberlain. To the house of woman unto the custody of Hedge, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the woman, let their things for purification be given them. Let the maiden which pleased the king to be queen instead of Vashti. And the thing pleased the king, and did, he did so. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, and the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, and a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away in Jeconiah. king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, to the custody of Hegai, that Esther was brought also into the king's house, to the custody of Hegai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification, with things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were meet to given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maidens unto the best place of the house of the woman. Esther not skewed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that he should not shew it. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the woman's house, to know how Esther did and what should become of her. Now when every maid's turn was come to go to the king, Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the woman, for so were the days of the purification accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and the 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for purify of the woman. And thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house of the woman unto the king's house. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house. She returned into the second house of the woman, to the custody of Shaashgaz, and the king's chamberlain which kept the concubine. She came into the king no more. She kept the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name. Now when he turned of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go into the king, she required nothing but what Hegai the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all of them that look upon her. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all women, Esther above all women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head, and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast unto all his queens and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the province, and gave gifts according to the estate of king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet shewed her kindred, nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her, for Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him. In those days, when Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought and lay hand on the king's Ahasuerus. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when acquisition was made of the matter, it was found out therefore they were both hanged on the tree. And it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king. After this thing did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, and Agagite, and Hammedatha the Agagite, and advanced him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. All the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the kings had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. And the king's servants which were in king's gate said unto Mordecai, Why transgressest thou king's commandment? Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath, and he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had sued him, the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast forth, that is the lot before Haman, from day to day, and from month to month, to 12 months, that is the month Adar. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, There is a certain people scattered abroad that disperse among the people in all the province of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore it is not the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of that have charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasuries. And the king took his ring from his hand, and it gave unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, and Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, The silver is given to thee, the people also to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then the king's scribe called on 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to the people after their language, in the name of King Ahasuerus, that was it written and sealed with the king's ring, and the letters were sent by post into all king's province to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 30th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for prey. The copy of writing for a commandment to be given in every province, that was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace, and the king and Haman sat down to drink. But the city Shushan was perplexed. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes, and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried with a loud and a bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate. For none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king commandment and his decree came, there was a great mourning among Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. To Esther's maid and her chamberlains came and told it her. When was the king exceedingly grieved, and she sent her maid to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him. But he received it not. Then called Esther for Hathach, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai, to know what it was and why it was. So Hathach went forth to Mordecai unto the streets of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that happened unto him, and some of the money that Haman had promised to pay the king's treasuries for the Jews, to destroy them. Also he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan, to destroy them, to sue into it Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go into the king to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people. And Hathach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again Esther spake unto Hathach, gave him commandment unto Mordecai, all the king's servants, and the people of the king's province, to do know that whosoever, whether a man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold up the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come into the king's these 30 days. And they told Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from other place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed, and who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer: Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, day 3 days night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went his way, and did according to all that Esther had commanded him. Now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel, and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house, and the king sat upon his royal throne, in the royal house, over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near, and touched the top of the scepter, and said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be given thee to the half of the kingdom. And Esther answered, If it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, Cause Haman to make haste, that he may do that Esther had said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at banquet of wine, What is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to half of the kingdom it shall be performed. Then answered Esther, and said, My petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition, and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king had said. Then went Haman forth that day joyful, and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called his friends and Zeresh his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches, and the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said moreover, Esther the queen did let no man come in the king unto the banquet that she had prepared, but myself, and tomorrow I invite unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, Let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king, that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of the record of the chronicles, And they were read before the king, and it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of king's chamberlains and the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king's Ahasuerus. And the king said, "What honor and dignity had been done to Mordecai for this?" Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, "There is nothing done for him." And the king said, "Who is in the court?" Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house, to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, Behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, Let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, What shall be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, To whom would the king delighted to do honor more than to myself? And Haman answered the king, For the man whom the king delighted to honor, let the royal apparel be brought which the king used to wear, and he and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head, and let his apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of the king's most noble princes, that may array the man withal whom the king delighted to honor, and bring him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, Thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighted to honor. Then the king said to Haman, Make haste, and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew, that seated at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, Thus shall it be done unto a man whom the king delighted to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house mourning, and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh his wife, and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, If Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou hast not prevailed against him, but shall surely fall before him. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains, and hasted to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared. So the king and Haman came to banquet, and Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed even to the half of the kingdom. And Esther the queen answered and said, If I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are sold, and I and my people be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen. I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, Who is and where is he? Where is he that dares presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, The adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and queen, before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden, and Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. When, when said the king, Will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face, and Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, Behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoke good. For the king standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, Hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman the Jews' enemy unto Esther the queen, and Mordecai came before the king of Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away his mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jew. Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther, so Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, If it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the king seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in thy eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews, which are in the king's province. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring, for the writing which is written in the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring, may no man reverse. When the king's scribe called at that time, and in the 3rd month, that is the month Sivan on the 3rd and 20th day thereof, and it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jew, and to the lieutenants and the deputies and rulers of province which are from India unto Ethiopia, and 120 and 7 province unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing and according to their language. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post and on horseback, and riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries, wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. And upon one day, in all the province of King Ahasuerus, namely upon the 30th day of 12th month, which is month Adar, the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all the people, and that the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So the post that rode upon mules and camels went out, being hastened and pressed on by the king's commandment, and the decree was given at Shushan the place. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with great crown of gold, and with the garment of a fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad, and the Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor. And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day, and many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. Now in the 12th month, that is a month, either on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary. The Jews had rule over them that hated them. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the province of the king Ahasuerus, to lay hand on such as of their heart, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people, and all the rulers of the province and the lieutenants, and the deputies and the officers of the king helped the Jews, because their fear of Mordecai fell upon them, for Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces of this man Mordecai, waxed greater and greater, as the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they could unto those that hated them. Then Shushan, the place of the Jews, slew and destroyed 500 men, and Parashandatha, and Dalphon, and Asphatha, and Foratha, and Adalia, and Aridatha, and Parmashta, and Arisai, and Aridai, and Vajizatha, 10 sons of Haman, the sons of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Jews, slew they, but on the spoil laid they not their hand. On the day the number of those that were slain in Shushan, the place as brought before the king. And the king said unto Esther the queen, The Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's province? Now what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. Or what is thy request further? And it shall be done. Then said Esther, If it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow, also according to this day decree. And let Haman's 10,000 be hanged upon the gallows. And the king commanded it so to be done. And the decree was given at Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men on Shushan, but on the prey they laid not their hand. But the other Jews that were in the king's province gathered themselves together, and stood for their lives, and had rest from their enemies, and slew of their foe 70 and 500. They laid not their hands on prey on the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested day, and made it the day of feasting and gladness. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th thereof, and the 15th day of the same day rested, and made it the day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwell in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness, feasting, and a good day and of and of ascending portions one to another. And Mordecai wrote these things, sent letters unto all Jews that were in all the province of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly, as the day wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow, joy, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor. And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman the son of Hammedatha, and Agathite, the enemies of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast for Latis the lot to consume them, to destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. Wherefore they called this day Purim, after name of Pur. Therefore, for all words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon them and upon their seed, and upon all such join themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days, according to their writing, and according to their appointed time, every year, and that this day should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, and every family, every province, and every city, and that this day of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed. Then Esther the queen, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew wrote with all authority to confirm this second letter of Purim, and he sent letters unto all the Jews to the 120 and 70 province of the kingdom of Ahasuerus, with words of peace and truth to confirm these days of Purim, and in their times appointed according as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had joined them, as they had decreed for themselves and for their seed the matters of the fasting and their cry. The decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book. And the king of Ahasuerus laid a tribute upon the land and upon the isles of the sea, and all the acts of his power and of his might, and the declaration of the greatness of Mordecai were unto the king advanced him. Are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the king of Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was next unto King Ahasuerus, and great among Jews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking wealth of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed. The Book of Job. There was a man in the land of whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God, and eschewed evil, and eschewed evil. And there were born into him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke oxen and 500 she asses, and every great household, so that this man was greatest of all the men of the east. And his sons went and feast in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offering according to their number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he had, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job, and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabeans fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up the sheep, the servants, and consumed them. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, Chaldeans made out of 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Then Joab arose, and rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground, and worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. All in this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them, and present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said unto Satan, From whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord, and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feared God and escheweth evil? And he still hold fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. And Satan answered the Lord, and said, Skin for skin, yea, all that man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. And said his wife unto him, Doest thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. But he said unto her, Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips, Now when Job's three friends heard of all this evil that was come up upon him, they came every one from his own place, Eliphaz and Temanite, and Bildad and Shuhite, and Zophar and Naamathite, and they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to confront him. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept. And they rented every one his mantle, and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great. After this opened Job his mouth, and cursed his day. And Job spake and said, Let this day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, There is a man child conceived. Let that day be darkness, let not God regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let the let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for the night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it be joined unto the day of the year. Let it not come unto the number of the months. Though let that night be solitary, let no joyful voice come therein. Let them curse it that curse the day, who are ready to raise up their mourning. Let the star of the twilight thereof be dark. Let it look for light, but have none, neither let it see the dawning of the day, because it shut not up the doors of my mother's womb, nor hid sorrow from mine eyes. Why die? Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? Why did knees prevent me, nor why the breast that I should suck? Why the breast that I should suck? For now I have lain still and been quiet. I should have slept, then had I been at rest with kings and counselors of the earth, which build desolate place for themselves, or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver, or as hidden untimely birth I had not been, as infants which never saw light. There the wicked ceased from troubling, and there was a weary bee at rest. There a prisoner rests together, they hear not the voice of the oppressor. The small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul, which long death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasures, which rejoice exceedingly, and are glad when they can find the grave. Why is light given to a man whose way is hid, and whom God hath hedged in? For my sighing cometh before I eat, and my roaring the pour out like the waters. For the thing which I greatly fear is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is to come unto me. I was not in safety, neither I rest, neither was quiet, yet trouble came. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, If we essay to commune with thee, wilt thou be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that was falling, and thou hast strengthened the feebleness. But now it came upon thee, and thou faintest if thou chest thee, and thou art troubled. Is not this thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, and the uprightness of thy ways? Remember, I pray thee, whoever perish being innocent, or were a righteous cut off, even as I have seen thee that pillow iniquity, and sow wickedness, reap the same. By the blast of God they perish, and by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed, and roaring of the lion, and the voice of the fierce lion, and the teeth of a young lion are broken. The old lion perisheth for lack of prey, and shout lions' whelps are scattered abroad. Now a thing was secretly brought to me, and mine ear received a little thereof, and thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth on men. Fear came upon me, and trembled, which made all my bones to shake. Then the spirit passed before my face, and the hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, and it could not discern from thereof. An image was before mine eyes. There was silence, and I heard a voice saying, Shall mortal man be more just than God? Shall a man be more pure than his Maker? Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he charged with folly. Oh, much less in them that dwell in this house of clay, whose foundation is it in dust, which are crushed before the moth. They are destroyed from the morning to evening. They perish forever without any regarding it. Doth not excellency which is in them go away? They died even without wisdom. Call now, if there be any that will answer thee, and thou which of the saints wilt thou turn? For wrath killeth the foolish man, and envy slayeth the silly one. I have seen a foolish taking root, but suddenly I cursed this inhabitation. His children are far from safety, and they are crushed in the gate, neither is there any to deliver them, whose harvest the hungry eaten up, and take it even out of the thorns, and the robber swallowed up their substance. All the affliction cometh not forth of dust, neither doth troubling spring out of the ground. Yet man is born unto trouble, as the spark fly upward. I would seek unto God, and unto God I would commit my cause, which doeth great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number, who giveth rain upon the earth, sendeth waters upon the fields, to set upon high those that below, that those which mourn be exalted to safety. He disappointed the vice of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. They met with darkness in the daytime, and groped in the noonday as in the night. But he saveth the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty. So the poor had hope, and iniquity stopped her mouth. Behold, happy is the man whom God correcteth. There Therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty, for he maketh sore and bindeth up, he woundeth, and his hands make whole. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh, at destruction, and the famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beast of the earth. For thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. And thou shalt know that thy tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy inhabitation, and shalt not sin. Thou shalt know also that thy seed shall be great, and thine offspring as the grass of the earth. Thou shalt come to thy grave in full age, like as a shark cometh in his season. Lo, this was have searched, so it heareth, and now thou it for thy good. But Job answered and said, all that grieve were truly weighed, and my calamity laid in the balances together, for it would be heavier than the sand of the sea. Therefore my words are swallowed up, for the arrows of the Almighty are within me. The poison whereof drinketh up my spirit. The terrors of God do set themselves in array against me, that the wild ass bray when he hath grass, or loweth the ox over his fodder. Can that which is unsavory be eaten without salt? Or is there any haste, or is there any taste in the white of an egg? The things that my soul refused to touch are my sorrowful meat. Oh, that I might have my request, and that God would grant me the thing that I long for, even that I would please God to destroy me, that he would let loose his hand and cut me off. Then should I yet have comfort. Yea, I would harden myself in sorrow, let him not spare, for I have not concealed the words of the Holy One. What is my strength that I should hope? And what is mine end that I should prolong my life? Is my strength the strength of stone, or is my flesh brass? Has my help in me, and is wisdom driven quiet from me? To him that I afflicted pity should be shewed from his friend, but he forsaken the fear of the Almighty. My brethren have dealt deceitfully as a brook, and as the stream of brooks they pass away, which are blackish by reason of the ice, and wherein the snow is hid. What time they wax warm, they vanish. When it is hot, they are consumed out of their place. The paths of their way are turned aside. They go to nothing and perish. And troops of Tenalog, the companies of Sheba waited for them. They were confounded because they had hope. They came thither and were ashamed. For now ye are nothing, ye see my casting down, and are afraid. Did I say, bring unto me, or give a reward for me of your substance, or deliver me from the enemy's hand, or redeem me from the hand of the mighty? Teach me, and I will hold my tongue, and cause me to understand wherein I have erred, to forcible or right words. But what doth your arguing reprove? Do ye imagine to reprove words, and the speeches of one that is desperate, which are as wind? Yea, ye overwhelm the fatherless, and ye dig a pit for your friend. Now therefore be consistent, look upon me, for it is evident unto you if I lie. Return, I pray you, let it not be iniquity. Yea, return again, my righteousness is in it. Is there iniquity in my tongue? Cannot my taste discern perverse things? Is there not an appointed time to a man upon earth? Are not his day also like the days of hireling? As a servant earnestly desireth the shadow, and as an hireling looketh for the reward of his work, so am I made to possess months of vanity, and wearisome nights are appointed to me. When I lie down, I say, when shall I arise, and the night be gone? And I am full of tossing to and fro unto the dawning of the day. My flesh is clothed with worms and clods of dust. My skin is broken and become loathsome. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and are spent without hope. Oh, remember that my life is wind. Mine eyes shall no more see good, and the eye of him that hath seen me shall see me no more. Thine eyes are upon me, and I am not, and I am not. As the cloud is consumed and vanish away, so he that goeth down to the grave shall come up no more. He shall return no more to his house, neither shall his place know him any more. Therefore I will not refrain my mouth. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I a sea or a whale, that thou settest a watch over me? When I say, my bed shall comfort me, my couch shall ease my complaint, and thou scarest me with dreams, and terrified me through visions, so that my soul chooses strangling and death rather than my life. I loathe it, I would not live alway. Let me alone, for my days are vanity. What is man that thou shouldest magnify him, and that thou shouldest set thine heart upon him, and that thou shouldest visit him every morning, and try him every moment? How long wilt thou not part from me, nor let me alone, till I swallow down my spittle? I have sinned, what shall I do unto thee, O thou preserver of men? Why hast thou set me as a mark against thee, so that I am a burden to myself? And why do, doest thou not pardon my transgression, and take away mine iniquity? For now shall I sleep in the dust, and thou shalt seek me in the morning, but I shall not be. Then answered Bildad and the Shuhite, and said, How long wilt thou speak these things? And how long shall the words of thy mouth be like strong wind? Doth God pervert judgment, or doth Almighty pervert justice? If thy children have sinned against him, and he have cast them away for their transgression, If thou wouldest seek unto God betimes, unto betimes, and make thy supplication to the Almighty if thou wert pure and upright, surely now he would awake for thee, and make the habitation of thy righteousness prosperous. Yeah, my laptop is hacked. Oh well, I leave it to Jesus, God. It's all Jesus. Yep. Prosperous, though thy beginning was small, yet thy latter end should greatly increase. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. For we are about of yesterday, and know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow. Shall not they teach thee, and tell thee, and utter words out of their heart? Can the rush go off without mire? Can the flood go without water? This it is yet in his greenness, and not cut down it with brethren, cut down it weathered before any other herb. So are the paths of all that forget God, and hypocrites' hope shall perish, whose hope shall be cut off, and whose trust shall be spider's web. He shall lean upon his house, but it shall not stand. He shall hold it fast, but it shall not endure. He is green before the sun, and his branch shooteth forth in his garden. His roots are wrapped about the hip, and seeth the place of stones. If he destroy him from his place, then it shall deny him, saying, I have not seen thee. Behold, this is the joy of his way, and out of the earth shall others grow. Behold, God will not cast away a perfect man, neither will help the evildoers, till he filled my mouth with the laughing, and thy lips with rejoicing. They that hate thee shall be clothed with shame, and the dwelling place of the wicked shall come to naught. Then Job answered and said, I know it is so of a truth, but how should a man be just with God? If he contend equal, if if he will contend with him, he cannot answer him 1,000. And he is wise in heart, and mighty in strength, who had hardened himself against him, and had prospered, which removed the mountains, and they know not, which overturned them in his anger, which saketh the earth out of her place, and the pillars thereof, which trembling commandeth the sun, and it riseth not, and sealeth up the stars, which alone spreadeth out the heavens, and that treadeth upon the waves of the sea, which maketh Arcturus, Orion, and Pleiades, and the chambers of the south, which doeth great things, past findings out, yea, and wonders without number. Lo, he goeth by me, and I see him not. He passed it on also, but I receive him not. Behold, he take it away. Who can hinder him? Who will say unto him, what doest thou? If God will not withdraw his anger, and proud helpers do stood under do stoop under him, for how much less shall I answered him, and those sought my words to reason with him, whom though I were righteous, yet would I not answer, but I would make supplication of my judge. If I had called, and he had answered me, yet would not yet would I not believe that he had hearkened unto my voice. For he breaketh me with the tempest, and multiplieth my wounds without cause. And he will not suffer me to take my breath, but filleth me with bitterness. If I speak of strength, though he is strong, and if of judgment, who shall set me a time to plead? If I justify mine own mouth shall condemn me. If I say I am perfect, it shall also prove me perverse. Though I were would perfect yet would I not know my soul, I would despise my life. This is one thing therefore I said it, he destroyeth the perfect and the wicked. If the scourge slay suddenly, he will laugh at trial of innocent. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Now my days are swifter than a pulse. They flee away, they see no good. They are passed away as the swift ships, as the eagle that hasteth to the prey. If I say I will forget my complaint, I will leave off my heaviness and comfort myself. I am afraid of all my sorrows. I know that thou wilt not hold me innocent. If I be wicked, why then labor I in vain? If I wash myself with snow water, and make my hands never so clean, yet shalt thou plunge me in the ditch, and my own clothes shall harbor me. For he is not a man as I am, that I should answer him, and we should come together in judgment. Neither is there any days man bewitches us, that might lay his hand upon us both. Let him take his rod away from me, and let not his fear terrify me. Then I would speak and not fear him, but it is not so with me. My soul is weary of my life. I will leave my complaint upon myself. I will speak in the bitterness of my soul. I will say unto God, do not condemn me. Shew me wherefore thou contendest with me. Is it good unto thee that shouldest oppress, that thou shouldest despise the work of thine hands, and shine upon the counsel of the wicked? Hast thou eyes of flesh, or seest thou as a man seeth? Are thy days as the days of man? Are they years as a man's days? And thou inquirest after my iniquity, and searchest after my sin? Thou knowest that I am not wicked, and there is none that can deliver out thine hand. Thine hands had made me, and fashioned me together round about, yet thou doest destroy me. Remember, I beseech thee, that thou hast made me as the clay, and wilt thou bring me into dust again? And hast thou not poured me out as milk, and curdled me like cheese? And thou hast clothed me with skin and flesh, and hast fenced me with bones and sinew. Thou hast granted me life and favor, and thy visitation hath preserved my spirit. And these things hast thou hid in thine heart. I know that this is with thee. If I sin, then thou markest me, and thou wilt not acquit me from my iniquity. If I wicked, woe unto me, and if I be righteous, yet will I not lift up my head. I am full of confusion. Therefore see thou mine affliction, for it increased. Thou huntest me as a fierce lion, and again thou shewest thyself marvellous upon me. Thou renewest thy witness against me, and increaseth thine indignation upon me. Changes and war are against me. Wherefore then hast thou brought me forth out of the womb? Oh, that I had given up the ghost, and no eye had seen me. I should have been as though I had not been. I should have been carried from the womb to the grave. Are not my days few? Case, case then, and let me alone that I may take comfort a little. Before I go whence I shall not return even to the land of darkness and the shadow of death, and the land of darkness as the darkness itself, and of the shadow of death, without any order, and where the light is a darkness. Then answered Zophar the Naamathite and said, should not the multitude of words be answered, and should the man full of talk be justified? Should thy lies make men hold their space, hold their peace? And when thou mockest, shall no man make thee ashamed? For thou hast said, my doctrine is pure, and I am clean in thine eyes. But oh, that God would speak upon his lip against thee, and that he would shew thee the secrets of wisdom, that they are double to that which is. Know therefore that the God exacted of thee less than thine iniquity deserveth. Canst thou by searching find out God? Canst thou find the Almighty unto perfection? It is as high as heaven. What canst do? What canst thou do? Deeper than hell. What canst thou know? The measure thereof is longer than the earth, and the border than the sea. If he cut off and shut up or gather together, then who can hinder him? For he knoweth vain men, and he seeth wickedness. Also will he not then consider it? For vain man would be wise, though a man be born like a wild as colt. If thou prepare thine heart, and stretch out thine hands toward him, if iniquity be in thine hand, put it far away. Let not the wickedness dwell in thy tabernacles, for then shalt thou lift up thy face without spot. Yea, thou shalt be steadfast and shalt not fear, because thou shalt forget thy misery, and it remember it as waters that pass away, and thine age shall be clearer than the noonday. Thou shalt shine forth, thou shalt be as morning, and thou shalt be secure, because there is some hope. Yet thou shalt dig about thee, and thou shalt take thy rest in safety. Also thou shalt lie down, and none shall make thee afraid. Yea, many shall make a suit into thee, but the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall not escape, and their hope shall be as given up of the ghost. And Job answered and said, no doubt, but ye are the people, and the wisdom shall die with you. but I have understanding as well as you. I am not inferior to you. Yet who knoweth not these things as these? Knoweth not such things as these. I am as one mock of his neighbor, who calleth upon God, and he answered him. The just upright man is laughed to scorn. He that is ready to sleep with his feet is as a lamp despised, and thought of him that is at ease. The tabernacles of robbers prosper, and they that provoke God are secure. Unto whose hand bringeth abundantly, but ask how the beast, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee, or speak to the earth, and shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. Who knoweth not in all this, that the hand of the Lord that hath wrought this, in whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and the breath of all mankind? Doth not the air try words, and the mouth taste his meat? With the ancient is wisdom, and in length of days understanding with him is wisdom and strength. And he hath counsel and understanding. Behold, he breaketh down, and it cannot be built again. He shutteth up a man, and there cannot be no opening. Behold, he withhold the waters, and they dry up. Also he sendeth them out, and they overturn the earth. With him is strength, and the wisdom, and deceive, and the deceiver are his. He lateth a counselor away, spoiled, and maketh the judge fools. He looseth the band of kings, and girdeth their loins with a girdle. He ladeth prince away, spoiled, overthroweth the mighty. He removeth away the speech of the trusty, and take away the understanding of the aged. He poureth contempt upon princes, and weakeneth the strength of the mighty. And he discovered new things out of darkness, and bring out of the light of the shadow of death. He increased the nations, and destroyed them. He enlarged the nations, and straightened them. He taken away the hearts of the chief of the people of the earth, and caused them to wander in the wilderness, where there is no way. They grope in the dark without light, and he maketh them to stagger like a drunken man. Lo, mine eye hath seen all this, mine ear hath heard and understood it. What ye know, the same do I know also. I am not inferior unto you. Surely I would speak to the Almighty, and I desire to reason with God. But ye are forgers of lies. Ye are all physicians of no value. Would that ye would altogether hold your peace, and it should be your wisdom. Hear now my reasoning, and hearken to the pleadings of my lips. Though ye speak wickedly for God, and walk and talk deceitfully for him, and will ye accept his person? Will ye contend for God? Is it good that he should search you out? Or as the one man mocketh another, do ye so mock him? He will surely reprove you, if ye do secretly accept person. Shall not excellency make you afraid, and his dread fall upon you? and your remembrance are like unto ashes. Your bodies, two bodies of clay. Hold your peace, let me alone, that I may speak, and let come unto me that will. Wherefore do I take my flesh in my teeth, and put my life in mine hand? Though he slays me, yet will I trust in him. But I will maintain mine own ways before him. He also shall be my salvation, for an hypocrite shall not come before him. Diligently my speech and my declaration with your ears. Behold now, I have ordered my cause. I know that I shall be justified. Whom is he that will plead with me? For now if I hold my tongue, I shall give up the ghost. Only do not, only do not do things unto me, then I will not hide myself from thee. Withdraw thine hand from me, and let not thy dread make me afraid. Then call thou, and I will answer, or let me speak. And answered thou me, How many, how many are my iniquities and sin? Make me to know my transgression and my sin. Wherefore hidest thou thy face and holdest me for thine enemy? Wilt thou break a leaf driving me to and fro? And wilt thou pursue the dry stubble? For thou writest bitter things against me, and makest me to possess the iniquities of my youth. Thou puttest my feet also in the stocks, and lookest narrowly unto all my paths. Thou settest a print upon the heels of my feet, and he as rotten thing consumeth, as a garment that is moth-eaten. One that is not born of a woman is of few days and full of trouble. He cometh forth like a flower, and is cut down, he fled also as a shadow, and continueth not. And doest thou open thine eyes upon such a one, and bringest me into judgment with thee? Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one, seeing his days are determined, and number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bonds that he cannot pass. Turn from him that he may rest, till he shall accomplish as the hireling his day. For there is hope of a tree, if it be cut down, and it will sprout again, and that the tender branch thereof will not cease. Though the root thereof wax old in the earth, and the stalk thereof die in the ground, yet through the scent of the water it will bud, and bring forth bulbs like a plant. But man dieth and wasted away. Yea, man giveth up the ghost is, and where is he? As the waters fell from the sea, and the flood decayeth, and drieth up, so man lieth down and riseth not, till the heavens be no more. Then shall not awake, nor be raised out of their sleep. O that thou wouldest hide me in the grave, that thou wouldest keep me secret until thy wrath be past, that thou wouldest appoint me a set time, and remember me. If a man die, shall he live again? All the days of my appointed time will I wait till my change come. Thou shalt call, and I will answer thee. Thou wilt have a desire to the work of thine hands. For now dost numberest my step. Dost thou not watch over my sin? My transgression is sealed up in the bag, and thou shewest up mine iniquity. And surely the mountains falling cometh to naught, and the rock is removed out of his place. The waters where the stones thou wash away, and things which grow out of the dust of the earth, and thou destroyest the hope of man, and thou prevailest forever against him. And he passeth, thou changest his countenance, and sendest him away. His sons come to honor, and he knoweth it not. And they brought low, but he perceiveth not of them. But his flesh upon him shall have pain, and his soul within him shall mourn. And answered Eliphaz the Temanite, and said, should a wise man utter vain knowledge, and fill his belly with his wind? Should the reason with unprofitable talk, or with speeches wherewith he can do no good? Yea, thou catest of fear, and restrainest prayer before God, for thy mouth uttereth thine iniquity, and thou choosest the tongue of the crafty. Thine own mouth condemneth thee, and not I, yet thine own lips testify against thee. Art thou the first man that was born, or wast thou made before the hills? Hast thou heard the secret of God, and doest thou restrain wisdom to thyself? That knowest thou that we know not? What understandest thou which is not in us, which as are in both grey-headed and very aged men, much older than thy father? For the consolations of God with thee, is there any secret thing with thee? Why doth thine heart carry thee away, and what do thy eyes wink at? That thou turnest thy spirit against God, and lettest such words go out of thy mouth, that this man, that he should be clean, and he which is born of a woman, and he would be righteous. Behold, he putteth no trust in his saints. Yea, the heavens are not clean in his sight. Now much more abominable and filthy as man, which drinketh iniquity like water. I will shew thee, hear me, and that which I have seen I will declare, which wise men have told from their fathers, and have not heeded, unto whom alone the earth was given, and no stranger passed among them. The wicked man travaileth with pain all his days, and the numbers of years is hidden to the oppressor. A dreadful sound is in his ears. A prosperity the destroyer shall come upon him. He believeth not that he shall return out of darkness, and he is waited for of the sword. He wandereth abroad for the bread, saying, where is it? He knoweth that the day of the darkness is ready at his hand. Trouble and anguish shall make him afraid. They shall prevail against me as the king ready to battle. For he stretched out of his hand against God, and strengthened himself against the Almighty. He runneth upon him, even on his neck, upon the thick bosses of his buckler, because he recovered his face with his fatness, and maketh collops of fat on his flanks. And he dwelt in desolate cities, and in houses which no man inhabited, which are ready to become heaps. He shall not be rich, neither shall his substance continue, neither shall be prolonged the perfection thereof upon the earth. He shall not depart out of darkness, the flame shall dry up his branches, and by the breath of his mouth shall he go away. Let not let not him that he is deceived trust in vanity, for vanity shall be his recompense. It shall be accomplished before his time, and his branch shall not be green. He shall shake off his unripe grape as the vine, and shall cast off his flower as the olive. For the congregation of hypocrites shall be desolate, and fire shall consume the tabernacle of bribery. They conceive mischief and bring forth vanity, and their belly prepareth deceit. Then Job answered and said, I have heard many such things. Miserable comforters are ye all. Shall vain words have an end, or what emboldeneth thee that thou answerest? I also speak as ye do. If your soul were in my soul's stead, I could heap up words against you, and shake mine head at you, but I would strengthen you with my mouth, and the moving of my lips should assuage your grief. Though I speak, my grief is not assuaged, and though I forbear, what am I? What am I east? But now he hath made me weary. Thou hast made desolate of my company, and thou hast filled me with wrinkles, which is witness against me, and my leanness raising up in me beareth witness to my face, and teareth me in his wrath, who hateth me. He gnasheth upon me with his teeth. Mine enemy sharpeneth his eyes upon me, and have gape upon me with their mouth. They have smitten me upon the cheek. Reproachfully they have gathered themselves together against me. God hath delivered me to ungodly, and turned me over into the hands of the wicked. I was at ease, but he hath broken me asunder. He hath also taken me by my neck, and shaken me to pieces, and set me up for his mark. His archers compass me round about, and he cleave my reins asunder, and doth not spare the poorest out of my gall upon the ground. My gall upon the ground, and he breaketh me with breach upon breach. He runneth upon me like a giant. I have sewed sackcloth upon my skin, and defiled my horn in the dust. My face is foul with weeping, and on my eyelids is the shadow of death. Not for any injustice in mine hands. Also my prayer is pure. O earth, cover not thou my blood, and let my cry have no place. Also now behold, my witness is in heaven, and my record is on high. My friends scorn me, but mine eyes pour it out tears unto God. Oh, that one might plead for a man with God, as man pleaded for his neighbor. When a few years are come, then I shall go away, whence I shall not turn. I shall not return. My breath is corrupt, my days are instinct. The graves are ready for me. Are there not mockers with me? And doth not mine eyes continue in their provocation? Lay down now, put me in surety with thee. Who is he that will strike hands with me? For thou hast hid their heart from understanding, therefore shalt thou not exalt them. He that speaketh flattery to his friends, even the eyes of his children shall fail. He had made me also by word of the people, and aforetime I was as a tabret. Mine mind also is dim by reason of sorrow, and all my members are as a shadow. Upright men shall be astonished at this, and the innocent shall stir up himself against the hypocrite. The righteous also shall hold on his way, and that hath clean hands shall be stronger and stronger. But as for you, all do you return and come now, for I cannot find one wise man among you. My days are past, purpose my purposes are broken off. Yeah, when even the thoughts of my heart they change the night into day, and the light is too short because of darkness. If I wake, the grave is mine house. I have made my bed in the darkness. I have said to corruption, Thou art my father, to the worm, Thou art my mother and my sister. And where is now my hope? As for my hope, who shall see it? And they shall go down to the bars of the pit, when our rest together is in the dust. Then answered Bildad the Shuhite and said, How long will it be there? How long will it be ere ye make an end of words? Mark the afterwards, we will speak, wherefore we are counted as beasts, and erupted valley in your sight. And he teareth himself in an anger. Shall the earth be forsaken for thee? And shall the rock be removed out of his place? Yet the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. The light shall be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out with him. The steps of his strength shall be straitened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. For he is cast into the net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. The gin shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. His strength shall be hunger beaten, and destruction shall be ready at his side, and shall devour the rest of his king. Even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him the king of terrors. It shall dwell in his tabernacle, because it is none of his brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitation. His roots shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branches be cut off. His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the street. He shall be driven from the light into darkness, and chased out of the world. He shall neither have son nor nephew among his people, nor any remaining in his dwellings. They that come after him shall be astonished at his day, as they that went before were affrighted. Surely such are the dwellings of the wicked, and this is the place of him that knoweth not God. Then Job answered and said, How long will you vex my soul, and break me in pieces with words? These 10 times have ye reproached me, ye are not ashamed that ye make yourselves strange to me. And be indeed that I have heard mine error remaineth with myself. If indeed ye will magnify yourselves against me, and plead against me my reproach, know now that God hath overthrown me, and hath compassed me with his net. Behold, I cry out of a wrong, but I am not heard. I am not heard. I cry aloud, but there is no judgment. He hath fenced up my way, and I cannot pass, and he hath set darkness in my path. He hath stripped me of my glory, and taken crown from my head. He hath destroyed every side, and I am gone, and mine hope hath removed like a tree. He hath also kindled his wrath against me, and he counted me unto him, one of his enemies. His troops come together and raise up their way against me, and encamp round about my tabernacle. He hath put my brethren afar from me, and mine acquaintance are very estranged from me. My king's folk have failed, and my familiar friends have forgotten me. They that dwell in mine house, and my maids account me for a stranger. I am an alien in their sight. I called my servant, and he gave me no answer. I entreated him with my mouth. My breath is strange to my wife, though I entreated for my children's sake of my own body. Yea, young children despise me. I arose, and they spake against me. All my inward friends abhorred me, and they whom I love are turned against me. My bone cleaved to my skin, and to my flesh, and I am escaped with the skin of my teeth. I have pity upon me. Have pity upon me, have pity upon me. O ye my friends, for the hand of God hath touched me. Why do ye persecuted me as God, and are not satisfied with my flesh? Oh, that my words were now written, oh, that they were printed in a book, that they were graven with an iron pen and let in the rock forever. For I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see God, whom I shall see for myself, and mine eyes shall behold and not another. Though my reins be consumed with me, but he should say, Why persecuted we him? Seeing the root of the matter is found in me, Be yet afraid of the sword of the rod, bring it the punishment of the sword, that ye may know there is a judgment. Then answered Zophar the Naamathite, and said, Therefore do my thoughts cause me to answer, and for this I make haste. I have heard the check of my reproach, and the spirit of my understanding caused me to answer. Knowest thou not this of old, since a man was placed upon the earth? Then the triumph of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but of the moment. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his hand reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. Which have seen him shall say, Where is he? He shall fly away as a dream, and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. The eyes also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall this place any more behold him. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore the goods. His bones are full of sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, though he spared it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth, yet his meat in his bowels is turned, it is the gall of asp with him. He hath swallowed down riches, and shall vomit them up again. God shall cast them out of his belly. He shall suck the poison of asp, viper's tongue shall slay him. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter, that which he labored for. Shall he restore them, shall not swallow it down according to his substance, shall the restitution be, and shall not rejoice therein, because he had oppressed and had forsaken the poor, because he had violently taken away an house which he builded not. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desire. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of the Lord, cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and bows of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn and cometh out of the body. The glittering sword cometh out of his gall, terror are upon him. All darkness shall be hid in his secret place. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. The heaven shall reveal his iniquity. The earth shall rise up against him. The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away. in the day of his wrath is the portion of a wicked man from the from God, and the heritage appointed unto him by God. But Job answered and said, Hear diligently my speech, and let this be your consolations. Suffered me and suffered me that I may speak, and after that I have spoken, mock God. As for me is my complaint to man, and if it were so, why should not my spirit be troubled? Mark me and be astonished, and lay your hand upon your mouth. Even when I remember, I am afraid, I am trembling, take it hold on my flesh. Wherefore do the wicked live, become gold, ye are mighty in power. Their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of God upon them. Their bull gendereth and faileth not, their cow calveth and casteth not her half, and they send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They take the timbrel and harp, and rejoice at the sound of the organ. They spend their days in wealth, and in moment go down to the grave. Therefore they say unto God, Depart from us, for we desire not the knowledge of thy ways. That is, what is the Almighty that we should serve him? And what profit should we have if we pray unto him? Lo, their good is not in their hand, the counsel of the wicked is far from me. How oft is the candle of the wicked put out, and how oft cometh their destruction upon them. God distributed sorrows in his anger, and they are stubble before the wind. And as chaff that the storm carrieth away, God layeth up his iniquity for his children. He rewarded him, and he shall know it. His eyes shall see his destruction, and he shall drink of the wrath of all the Almighty. For what pleasure hath he in his house after him, and the number of his mouth is cut off in the midst. Shall any teach good knowledge, seeing he judges those that are high? One dieth in his full strength, and being wholly at ease and quiet, his breasts are full of milk, and his bones are moistened and with marrow. And another dieth, being the bitterness of his soul, and never eateth with pleasure. And they shall lie down alike in the dust, and the worms shall cover them. Behold, I know your thoughts, and the devices which ye wonderfully imagine against me. For ye say, Where is the house of the prince, and where are the dwelling place of the wicked? Have ye not asked them that go by the way, and do ye not know their tokens? That the wicked is reserved, and to the day of destruction they shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. Who shall declare his way to his face? And who shall repay him what he had done? Yet shall he be brought to the grave, and shall remain in the tomb. The clouds of the valley shall be sweet unto him, and every man shall draw after him as there are innumerable before him. For then comfort ye me in vain, seeing in your answers there remaineth falsehood. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, Can a man be profitable unto God, as he hath his wives be profitable unto himself? Is it any pleasure to the Almighty that thou art righteous? Or is it gain to him that thou makest thy ways perfect? And will he reprove thee for fear of thee? Will he enter with thee into judgment? Not thy wickedness great, and thy iniquities infinite, for thou hast taken a pledge for thy brother Fornoth, and stripped naked of their clothing. Thou hast not given water to the weary to drink, and thou hast withholden bread from the hungry. But as for the mighty man, he had the earth, and the honorable man dwelt in it. Thou hast set windows away empty. The arms of the fatherless have been broken. Therefore snares are round about thee, and sudden fear troubleth thee, or darkness that thou canst not see. An abundance of waters cover thee. Is not God in the height of the heaven? And behold the height of the stars, now high they are. And thou sayest, How doth God know? Can he judge through the dark cloud? The clouds are a covering to him, and he sitteth not, and he walketh in the circuit of heaven. Hast thou mark of the old way which wicked men have trodden, which were cut down out of time, whose foundation was overflown with the flood, which said unto God, Depart from us? And what can the Almighty do for them? Yet he filled the houses with good things, but counsel of the wicked is far from me. The righteous see it, and are glad, and the innocent laugh them to scorn. Whereas our substance is not cut down, but the remnant of them the fire consumeth. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. Thereby God shall come unto thee. Receive, I pray, the law from his mouth, and lay up his words in thine hand. If thou return to the Almighty, thou shalt be built up. Thou shalt be put in equity from thy tabernacles. Then shalt thou lay up gold as dust, and the gold of Ophir as the stones of the brooks. Yet the mighty shall be thy defence, and thou shalt have plenty of silver. For then shalt thou have thy delight in the Almighty, and shalt lift up thy face unto God, and thou shalt make thy prayer unto him, and he shall hear thee, and thou shalt pay thy vows. Thou shalt also decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee, and the light shall shine upon thy ways. When men are cast down, then thou shalt say, There is lifting up, and he shall save the humble person. He shall deliver the island of the innocent, and it is delivered by the pureness of thy hands. Then Job answered and said, Even today is the complaint bitter, my stroke is heavier than my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his seat. I would order my cause before him, and might fill my mouth with arguments. I would know the words which he would answer me, and understand what he would say unto me. Will he plead against me with his great power? No, but he would put strength in me. There are righteous might dispute with him. So should I be delivered forever from my judge? Behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward, but I cannot perceive him. On the left hand, where he doth work, but I cannot behold him. He hideth himself on the right hand, and I cannot see him. But he knoweth the way that I take. When he hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold. My foot hath held his steps. His way I have kept, and not declined, neither have I gone back from the commandment of his lips. I have esteemed the words from his mouth more than my necessary food. But he is in one mind, and who can turn him? And what his soul desireth, even that he doeth, for he performeth the thing that is appointed of me, and much things are with him. Therefore am I troubled at his presence. And when I considered, I am afraid of him. Of God maketh my heart soft, and the Almighty troubleth me. Because I was not cut off before the darkness, neither hath covered the darkness from my face. My seeing times are not hidden from Almighty. Do they that know him not see his days? Some remove the landmarks, they violently take away flocks and feed thereof. They drive away the ass of the ass of the fatherless, and they take the widow's ox for a pledge. They turn the needy out of the way. The poor of the earth hide themselves together. Behold, as wild asses in the desert, go they forth to their works, rising betimes for a prey. The wilderness yielded food for them and for their children. They reap every one his corn in the field, and they gather the vintage of the wicked, and they cause the naked to lodge without clothing, that they have no covering in the cold. They are wet with his showers of the mountains, and embrace the rock for want of the shelter. They pluck the fatherless from the breast, and take a pledge of the poor. They cause him to go naked without clothing, and they take away the sheep from the hungry, which make oil within their walls, and tread their winepress, and suffer thirst. Men groan from out of the city, and the soul of the wounded crieth out, yet the God layeth not folly to them. They are of those that rebel against the light, and they know not the ways thereof, or abide in the paths thereof. The murderer rising with the light killeth the poor and needy, and in the night is as a thief, and also the eye also of the adulterer waiteth for the twilight, saying, no eye shall see me, and disguised his face. In the dark they dig through houses, which they had marked for themselves in daytime. They know not the light, for the morning is to them even the shadow of death. If one know them, they are in the terrors of the shadow of death. He is swift as the waters, their portions is cursed in the earth. He beholdeth not the way of the vineyards, drought and heat consume, and snow waters. So doth the grave those which have sinned. The womb shall forget him, and the world forget him. The worm shall feed sweetly on him. He shall be no more remembered. The wickedness shall be broken as tree. He evil entreated the barren that beareth not, and doeth not good to the window, not good to the widow. He draweth also the mighty with his power. He resolved no man is sure of life, though it be given him to be in safety there, thereon he rested, yet his eyes are upon their ways. They are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. They are taken out of the ways as all their ways, as all other, and cut off as the tops of the ears of corn. And if be not so now, who will make me a liar, and make my speech nothing worth? Then answered Bildad the Shuhite, and said, Dominion and fear are with him. He maketh peace in his high place. Is any number of his armies, and upon whom doth not his light arise? How then can a man be justified with God? Or how can it be clean that is born of a woman? Behold, even the moon, and it sinneth not, yet the stars are not pure in his sight. How much less man that is a worm, and the son of man which is a worm? But Job answered and said, How hast thou helped him that is without power? How savest thou an arm that had no strength? How hast thou concealed him that has no wisdom? And how hast thou plentiful declared the thing as it is? To whom hast uttered words, and whose spirit came from thee? Dead things are formed from under the waters, and the inhabitants thereof. Hell is naked before him, and destruction had no covering, and covering out he stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing. He bindeth up the waters in the thick clouds, and the cloud is not rent under them. He holdeth back the face of his throne, and spread his cloud upon it. He had compassed the waters with bounds, until the day and the night come to an end. The pillars of heaven trembled, and are astonished at his reproof. He divided the sea with his power, and his understanding he smithed through the proud. By his spirit he had garnished the heavens, his hand had formed the crooked serpent. Now these are the parts of his ways, but how little portion is heard of him. but the thunder of his power who can understand? Moreover, Job continued his parable and said, As God liveth, who hath taken away my judgment, and the mighty who hath vexed my soul, all the all all the while my breath is in me, and the Spirit of God is in my nostril. Spirit of God is in my nostrils. My lips shall not speak wickedness, nor my tongue utter deceit. God forbid that I should justify you till I die, for I will not remove mine integrity from me. My righteousness I hold fast and will not let go, will not let it, will not let it go. My heart shall not reproach me so long as I live. Let mine enemy be as the wicked, and he that riseth up against me as the unrighteous. For what is the hope of the hypocrite, though he hath gained when God taketh away his soul? Will God hear his cry when trouble cometh upon him? Will he delight himself in the Almighty? Will he always call upon God? I will teach you by the hand of God that which is with the Almighty. Will I not conceal? Ye behold, all ye yourself have seen it. Why then are ye thus together vain? This is the portion of a wicked man with God, and the heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty. If his children be multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. Those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widows shall not weep, though he heap up silver as the dust, and prepare raiment as clay. He may prepare it, but the just shall put it on. Just shall put it on. The innocent shall divide the silver. He buildeth his house as a moth, and as a booth that the keeper maketh. A rich man shall lie down, but he hath not regathered. He opened his eyes, and he is not terrors to take hold on him. As waters, a tempest stealeth him away in the night. The east wind carrieth him away, and he departed and as a storm hurleth him out of his place. For God shall cast upon him, and not spared, he would fain flee out of his hand. Men shall clap their hands at him, and shall hiss him out of his place. Surely there is a vein for the silver, and the place of the gold where they find it. Iron is taken out of the earth, and brass is molten out of stone. He seizeth an end to the darkness, and searcheth out of all perfection. And stones of darkness, the shadow of death, and blood and flood break it out from the inhabitant. Even the waters forgotten the food. They are dried up, they are gone away from men. As for the earth, out of it cometh bread, and under it is turned up, as it were fire. The stone of it are the face of sapphires, and it has dust of gold. There is a path which no fowl knoweth, and which the vulture's eye hath not seen. The lion's whelp have not trodden it, nor the fierce lion passed by it. He putteth forth his hand upon the rock, he overturned the mountains by the roots. He cutteth out rivers among the rocks, and his eyes see every precious thing. He bindeth the floods from overflowing, and the thing that is hid bringeth he forth to light. But where shall wisdom be found, and where is the place of understanding? Man knoweth not the price thereof, neither it is found in the land of the living. The depth saith, it is not in me, and the sea saith, it is not with me. It cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof. It cannot be valued with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx or sapphire. The gold and crystal cannot equal it, and the exchange of it shall not be for jewels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral of pearls, for the price of wisdom is above rubies, and topaz of Ethiopia shall not equal it, neither shall it be valued with pure gold. Whence then cometh wisdom, and where is the place of understanding? Seeing it is hid from the eyes of all living, and kept close from the fowls of the air. Destruction and death say, we have heard the fame thereof with our ears, and God understandeth the way thereof, and he knoweth the place thereof. For he looketh to the ends of the earth, and seeth under the whole heaven, to make the way for the winds, and he weighed the waters by measure, when he made a decree for the rain, and a way for the lightning of the thunder. Then did he see it, and declare it, and prepared it, yea, and search it up. And unto man he said, Behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. Moreover, Job continued his parable and said, Oh, that I were in these months past, as in the days when God preserved me, when his candle shined upon my head, and when by his light I walked through the darkness, as I was in the days of my youth, when the secret of God was upon my tabernacle, when the mighty was yet with me, when my children were about me, when I washed my steps with water, and the rock poured me out rivers of oil, when I went out to the gate through the city, when I prepared my seat in the street, the young men saw me, and hid themselves, and the aged arose and stood up, and the prince refrained talking and laid their hand on their mouth. The nobles heard their peace, and their tongue cleaved unto the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard me, then it blessed me, and when the eye saw me, it gave witness to me, because I delivered the poor that cried, and the fatherless, and him that had none to help him. and bless him that was ready to perish came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My judgment was a robe, and a diadem. I was eyes to the blind, and feet was I to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and I caused which I knew not I search out. And I break the jaws of the wicked, and pluck the spoil out of his teeth. Then I said, I shall die in my nest, and I shall multiply my days as the sand. My root was spread out by waters, and the dew lay all night upon my branch. My glory was fresh in me, and my power was renewed in my hand. To me men gave ear, and waited and kept silence at my counsel. After my words they spake not again, and my speech dropped upon them. And they waited for me as for the rain, and they opened their mouth wide as for the later rain. If I laugh on them, they believe it not, and the light of my countenance they cast not down. I chose out of their way, and sat chief, and dwelt as king in the army, as one that comforted the mourners. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. For want of famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former times, desolate and waste, who cut off mallows by the bushes, and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among them. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valley, in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks among the bushes. They brayed under the nettles. They were gathered together. They were children of fools, yeah, children of base men. They were silver than earth. They were viler than the earth. And now am I their song, yeah. I am their byword. They abhor me. They flee far from me, and spare not to spit in my space, because he had loosed my cord and afflict me. They have also let loose the bridle before me, upon my right hand, and raised the youth. They push away my feet, and they raise up against me the ways of their destruction. They mar my path, they set forward my calamity. They have no helper. They came upon me as a wide breaker, as a wide breaker, as a they came upon me as a wide breaking in of waters. In the desolation they rolled themselves upon me. Terror are turned upon me. They pursue my soul as the wind, and my woe passeth away as a cloud. And now my soul is poured out upon me. The days of affliction have taken hold upon me. My bones are pierced in me in the night. season, and my sinews take no rest. By the great force of my disease is my garment changed. It binded me about the collar of my coat. He had cast me into the mire, and I am become like a dust and ashes. I cry into thee, and thou dost not hear me. I stand, and thou regardest me not, and thou art become cruel to me. With thy strong hand thou opposest thyself against me, and thou liftest me up to the wind, and thou causest me to ride upon it, and to dissolve my substance. For I know that thou wilt bring me to death, and to the house appointed for a living. Howbeit he will not stretch out of his hand to the grave, though they cry in his destruction. Did not I weep for him that was in trouble? Was not my soul grieved for the poor? When I looked for the good, then evil came unto me, and when I waited for light, there came darkness. My bowels boiled and rested not. The days of affliction prevented me. I went mourning without the sun. I stood up and I cried in the congregation. I am a brother to dragons and a companion to owls. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burnt with heat. My harp also is turned to mourning, and my organ into the voice of them that weep. I made a covenant with mine eyes, that then should I think upon a maid. For what portion of the God is there from above, and what inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Inheritance of the mighty from on high is not destruction to the wicked, and strange punishment to the workers of iniquity, that not he see my ways, and count all my steps. If I have walked with vanity, or if my foot had hasted to deceit, let me be weighed in an even balance, that God may know my integrity. If my step had turned out of the way, my heart had walked after mine eyes, and if any blood had cleaved to mine hands, when let me sow, and let another eat, yea, let my offspring be rooted. If my heart have been deceived by a woman, or if I have laid wait at my neighbor's door, and then let my wife grind into another, and let others bow upon her, and this is an heinous crime. Yeah, it is an iniquity to be punished by the judge, for it is a fire that consumeth to destruction, and would root out all mine increase. If I did despise the cause of my manservant, or of my maidservant, when they contended with me, that then shall I do when God risen up, and when he visited, what shall I answer him? Did not he that made me in the womb make him? And did not one fashion us in the womb? And if withheld the poor from their desire, or have caused the eyes of the widow to fail, or have eaten my morsel myself alone, and the fatherless had not eaten thereof. For from my youth he was brought up with me, as with a father, and I have guided her from my mother's womb. If I have seen my perish for want of clothing, or any poor without covering, of his loins have not blessed me. And if he were not warm with the fleece of my sheep, if I have lifted up my hand against the fatherless, then I saw my help in the gate. Then I let my arm fall down from the shoulder blade, and my arm be broken from the bone. For destruction from God was a terror to me, and by reason of his fineness I could not endure. If I have made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, thou art my confidence, if I rejoice because my wealth was great, and because mine hand had gotten much, if I beheld the sun when it shined, or moon walking in brightness, and my heart had been secretly enticed, or my mouth had kissed my hand, this also were an iniquity to be punished by the judge, for I should have denied the God that is above, if I rejoice at the destruction of him that hated me, or lifted up myself, then evil found him. Neither have I suffered my mouth to sin by wishing the curse to his soul. If men of my tabernacle said not, oh, that we had of his flesh, we cannot be satisfied. The stranger doth not lodge in the street, but I opened my doors to the traveller. If I covered my transgression as Adam, my hiding mine iniquity in my bosom, did I fear a great multitude, or did the contempt of families terrify me, that I kept silence and went not out of the door? Oh, that one would hear me! Behold, my desire is that the Almighty would answer me, and that mine adversary had written a book. Surely I would take upon my shoulder, and bind it as a crown on me. I would declare unto him the number of my steps. As the prince would I go near unto him, if my land cry against me, or that the furrows likewise thereof complain, and I have eaten the fruits thereof without money, or have caused the owners thereof, the loser thereof, to lose their life. Let thistles grow instead of wheat, and cockle instead of barley. And the words of Job are ended. So there 3 men ceased to answer Job, because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then was kindled the wrath of Elihu, the son of Barshel, the Buzite, of the kindred of Ram, against Job was his wrath kindled, because he justified himself rather than God. Also against his 3 friends was his wrath kindled, because they had found no answer, and yet had condemned Job. Now Elihu had waited till Job had spoken, because they were elder than he. When Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these three men, then his wrath was kindled, and Elihu the son of Barashel the Buzite answered and said, I am young, and ye are very old, wherefore I was afraid, and durst not shew you mine opinion, and said, They should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom. But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of Almighty giving them understanding. Great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment. Therefore I said, Hearken to me. I also will shew mine opinion. Behold, I waited for your words. I gave ear to your reason, whilst ye search out what to say. Yea, I attended unto you, and behold, there was none of you that convinced Job, or that answered his words, lest ye should say, We have found out wisdom. God trusted him down, not man. Now he had not directed his word against me, neither will I answer him with your speeches. They were amazed. They answered no more. They left off speaking. When I had waited, for they spake not, but stood still, and answered no more. I said, I will answer also my part. I will also my part. I also will shew mine opinion, for I am full of matter. The Spirit with me constrained me. Behold, my belly is a wine which hath no vent. It is ready to burst like a new bottles. I will speak that I may be refreshed. I will open my lips and answer. Let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person, neither let me give titles unto man, or no, not to give flattering titles. In so doing, my makers would soon take me away. Wherefore, Job, I pray thee, hear my speeches, and hearken to all my words. Behold, now I have opened my mouth. My tongue hath spoken in my mouth. My words shall be of the uprightness of my heart, and my lips shall utter knowledge clearly. The Spirit of God hath made me, and breath of Almighty hath given me life. If thou canst answer me, set thy words in order before me. Stand up, behold, I am according to thy wish in God's stead. I also am formed out of the clay. Behold, my terror shall not make thee afraid, neither shall my hand be heavy upon thee. Surely thou hast spoken in mine hearing, and I have heard the voice of thy words, saying, I am clean without transgression. I am innocent, neither is there iniquity in me. Behold, he, the, he findeth occasion against me, and counteneth me for his enemy. He putteth my feet in the shocks that marketh all my path. Behold, in this thou art not just. I will answer thee, that God is greater than man. Why do thou strive against him? For he gave not account of any of his matters. For God speaketh once, yet twice, yet man perceiveth not. In a dream, in a vision of the night, When deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumbering upon the bed, then he opened the ears of men, and sealed their instruction, that he may withdraw man from his purpose, and hide pride from men. He keepeth back his soul from the pit, and his life from perishing by the sword. He is chastened also with pain upon his bed, and the multitude of his bones with strong pain, so that his life abhorreth bread, and his soul dainty meat. His flesh is consumed away, that it cannot be seen, and his bones that were not seen stick up. Yea, his soul draweth near unto the grave, and his life to the destroyers. If there be a messenger with him, an interpreter, one among 1,000, and slew unto man his uprightness, then he is gracious unto him, and saith, delivered him from going down to the pit. I have found a ransom. His flesh shall be fresher than the child's. He shall return to the days of his youth. He shall pray unto God, then he will be favorable unto him, and he shall see his face with joy, for he will render unto man his righteousness. He looketh upon men, and if any say, I have sinned, and perverted that which was right, and it profited me not, he will deliver his soul from going into the pit, and his life shall see the light. Lo, all these things worketh God oftentimes with man, to bring back his soul from the pit, to be enlightened with the light of the living. Mark well, O Job, hearken unto me. Hold thy peace, and I will speak. If thou hast anything to say, answer me. Speak, for I desire to justify thee. If not, hearken unto me. Hold thy peace, and I shall teach thee wisdom. Furthermore, Elihu answered and said, hear my words, O ye wise men, and give ear unto me. Ye have that knowledge, for ear treateth words as the mouth tasted meat. Let us choose us judgment, let us know among ourselves what is good. And for Job hath said, I am righteous, and God hath taken away my judgment. Should I lie against my right? Would my wound be incurable without transgression? What man is like Job, who will drink it up, scorning like water, which goeth in the company with the workers of iniquity, and walk with the wicked men? For he had said, it profited a man nothing, that he should delight himself with God. Therefore hearken unto me, ye men of understanding, far be it from God, that he should do wickedness, and from Almighty, that he should commit iniquity. For all the work of man shall he render unto him, and cause every man to find according to his ways. Yea, surely God will not do wickedly, neither will all with the Almighty perfect judgment, who had given him a charge over the earth, or who had disposed the whole world. If he set his heart upon man, if he gathered unto himself his spirit and his breath, all flesh shall perish together, and man shall turn again unto dust. If now thou hast understanding, hear this, hearken to the voice of my word. Shall even he that hated right govern? And wilt thou condemn him that is the most just? Is it fit to say to a king, Thou art wicked, or to prince, Ye are ungodly? How much less to him that accepted not the persons of the prince, nor regarded the rich more than the poor? For they all are the work of his hands, and the moment shall they die, and the people shall be troubled at midnight, and pass away, and the mighty shall be taken away without hand. For his eyes are upon the ways of men, and he seeth all his goings, and there is no darkness nor shadow of death, where the workers of the iniquity may hide themselves. For he will not lay upon man more than right, that he should enter into judgment with God. He shall break in pieces mighty men without number, and set others in their stead. Therefore he knoweth their works, and he overturneth them in the night, so that they are destroyed. He striketh them as wicked men in the open sight of the others, because they turn back from him, and would not reconsider any of his ways, so that they cause the cry of the poor to come unto him, and he heareth the cry of the afflicted. When he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? And when he hideth his face, who then can behold him? Whether it be done against the nation, or any man only, that the hypocrite reign not, lest the people be ensnared. Surely it is meet to be said unto God, And I have borne chastisement, will not offend any more. That which I see not teach thou me. If I have done iniquity, I will do no more. Should it be according to thy mind, he will recompense it, whether thou refuse or whether thou choose, and not I therefore speak what thou knowest. Let men of understanding tell me, and let a wise man hearken unto me. Job hath spoken without knowledge, and his words were without wisdom. My desire is that Job may be tired unto the end because of his answers. For the wicked man, for he added rebellion unto his sin. He clapped his hand among us, and multiplied his word against God. Elihu spake moreover and said, Thinkest thou this to be right? And that thou said, My righteousness is more than God's? For thou said that for thou said for thou said, What advantage will it be unto thee? And what profit shall I have if I be cleansed from my sin? I will answer thee and thy companions with thee. Look unto the heavens, and see, and behold the clouds which are higher than thou. If thou sinnest, what doest thou against him? Or if thy transgression be multiplied, what thou doest? If thou sinnest not, what doest thou against him? Or if thy transgression be multiplied, what doest thou unto him? If thou be righteous, what givest thou him? Or what receiveth he of thine hand. Thy wickedness may hurt a man as thou art, and thy righteousness may profit the Son of Man. By reason of multitude of oppressions, they make the oppressed to cry, and they cry out by reason of a wrong of the mighty. But none say, where is God my Maker, who giveth song in the night, who teacheth us more than the beasts of the earth, and maketh us wiser than fowls of heaven? And where they cry, but none giveth answer, because of the pride of the evil men. Surely God will not hear vanity, neither will the Almighty regard it. Although thou sayest thou shalt not see him, yet judgment is before him, therefore trust thou in him. But now, because it is not so, he hath visited in his anger. Yet he knoweth, yet he knoweth not in great extremity. Therefore doth Job open his mouth in vain. He multiplied words without knowledge. Elihu also proceeded and said, suffer me a little, and I will sue thee, and I will have yet to speak on God's behalf. I will fetch my knowledge from afar, and I will ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For truly my words shall not be false. He that is perfect in knowledge is with thee. Behold, God is mighty, and despiseth not any. He is mighty in strength and wisdom. He preserveth not the life of the wicked, but giveth right to the poor. He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings are in the throne. Yea, he doth establish them forever, and they are exalted. And if they be bound in fetters, and be holden in cords of affliction, then he sheweth them their work and their transgression, that they have exceeded. He opened also their ear of discipline, and commanded that they return from iniquity. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasure. If I be obey, but if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. But the hypocrites in the heap of wrath, they cry not when he bideth them. They die in youth, and their life is among the unclean. He delivereth the poor in his affliction, and opened their ears in oppression. Even so he have removed thee out of the strait into the broad place, where there is no straightness, and that which should be set into the table should be full of fatness. But thou hast fulfilled the judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold on thee, because there is a wrath. Beware, lest he take thee away with his stroke. Then a great ransom cannot deliver thee. Will he esteem thy riches? No, not gold, nor all the forces of strength. Desire not the night, when people are cut off in their place. Take heed, regard not iniquity. Of this hast thou chosen rather than affliction. Behold, God exalted by his power, who teacheth like him. who hath rejoined him his way, or who can say thou hast wrong iniquity? Remember that thou magnify his work, which men behold. Every man may see it, man behold it afar. Behold, God is great, and we know him not. Neither can the number of his years be searched out, for he maketh small the drops of water. They pour down rain according to the vapor thereof, which the cloud do drop, and distill upon men abundantly. Also can any understand the spreading of the clouds, nor the noise of his tabernacle? Behold, he spreadeth his light upon it, and covereth the bottom of the sea. For them judgeth he the people, that giveth meat in abundance with the clouds. With clouds he covereth the light, and commanded it not to shine. By the cloud that cometh bewitches, the noise thereof sheweth concerning it. The cattle also concerning the vapor. At this also my heart trembleth, and is moved out of his place. Hear attentively the noise of his voice, and the sound that goeth out of his mouth. He directed it under the whole heaven, and his lightning unto the ends of the earth. After it, after it voice roareth, he thundereth with the voice of his excellency, and he will not stay. Then with his voice is heard. God thundereth marvellously with his voice. Great things doeth he which cannot comprehend it. For he said to the snow, Be on thou, earth likewise to the small rain, and to do the great rain of his strength. He sailed up the land of every man, that all men may know his work. Then the beasts go into the dens, and remain in their place. Out of the south cometh the whirlwind, and the cold out of the north. And by the breath of God frost is given, and the bread of the waters is straitened. Also by watering where he weareth the thick cloud. He scattereth his white cloud, and is turned down round about by his counsel, that they may do whatsoever he commanded them upon the face of the world in the earth, and cause it to come whether for corruption, or for his land, or for mercy. Hearken unto this, O Job, standing still, and consider the wondrous works of God. Doest thou when God disposed them, and caused the light of his cloud to shine? Doest thou know the balancing of the clouds, and wondrous work of him which is perfect in knowledge? Of thy garments and warm, when the quieted the earth of the south wind? Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong, in the small tin looking-glass? Teach us that we shall say unto him, for we cannot order our speech by reason of darkness. Shall it be told him that I speak? If man speak, surely he shall be swallowed up. And the men see not bright light which is in the clouds, but the wind passeth and cleanseth them. Fair weather cometh out of the north, and God is terrible majesty, touching the mighty. We cannot find him out in his excellent in power, and in judgment in plenty of justice. He will not afflict, men do therefore fear him. He respected not any that are wise of heart. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid in the foundation of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding, who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest, or hadst stretched the line upon it, whereupon the foundations thereof fastened, or who laid the cornerstones thereof, when the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy, or who shut up the sea with doors, when he brake forth as if it had issue out of the womb. Then I made the cloud the garment thereof, and thick darkness a swaddling band for it, and brake up for it the discreet place, and set bars and doors. And I said, hitherto shalt thou come, but no further, and here shall thy proud waves be stayed. Hast thou commanded the morning since thy days, and caused the dayspring to know his place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it. It is turned as clay to the seal, and they stand as a garment. From the wicked their light is withholden, and the high arm shall be broken. Hast thou entered into the spring of the sea, or hast thou walked in the search of the depth? Have the gates of death been opened unto thee, or hast thou seen doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare thou knowest it all. Where is the way where light dwelleth? As of darkness, where is the place thereof, that thou shouldest take it to the bound thereof, and that thou shouldest know the paths of the house thereof? Knowest thou it because thou wast when born, or because the number of thy days is great? Hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow, or hast thou seen the treasures of the hill, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war? By what way is the light parted which scattered the east wind upon the earth? Who hath divided the water course for the overflowing of waters, or a way for the lightning of thunder, to cause it to rain on the earth, where no man is, on the wilderness, wherein there is no man to satisfy, and desolate and waste ground, and to cause the bud for the tender herb to spring forth? Hath the rain a father, or hath begotten the drops of dew, out of whose womb came the ice, and the hoary frosts of heaven? Who hath gendered it? The waters are hid as with a stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. Canst thou bind the sweet influence of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season? Or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? Knowest the ordinance of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? Canst thou lift up thy voice of the clouds, that abundance of water may cover thee? Canst thou send lightnings, that they may go and say unto thee, Here we are? Who hath put wisdom in inward parts? So who hath given understanding to the heart? Who can number the clouds in wisdom? Or can say the battles of heaven, when the dust groweth into hardness, and the clouds cleave fast together? Wilt thou hunt a prey for the lion, or with the appetite of the young lions, when they couch in their dens, and abide in the covert to lie in wait? Who proved for the raven his food, and when his young ones cried unto God, then they wander for lack of meat? And knowest thou the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth? Or canst thou mark when the hens do clave? Canst thou number the months that they fulfill? Or knowest thou the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves, they bring forth their young ones, and they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are in the good liking, and they grow up with corn, and they go forth and return not unto them who hath sent out the wild ass free, or who has loosed the hands of the wild ass. Whose house I have made the wilderness, and the barren land his dwellings. He scorneth the multitude of the city, neither regardeth he the crying of the driver, and ranged the mountains in his pasture. And he searched after every green thing. Will the unicorn will be willing to serve thee, or abide by thy crib? Canst thou bind the unicorn with his hand in the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after thee? Wilt thou trust him because his strength is great, or wilt thou leave thy labor to him? Wilt thou believe him that he will bring home thy seed, and gather it into thy barn? Gavest thou the goodly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them? She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear, because God hath deprived her wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. What time he lifted up herself on high, she scorneth the horse and his rider. Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder? Canst thou make him afraid a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils is terrible. He ploweth in the valley, and rejoiceth in his strength. He goeth in on the mid the armed men. He mocketh at fear, and he is afraid not. Neither turneth he back from the sword. The quiver rattleth against him, and glitters spear, and the shield he swalloweth the ground. with fierceness and rage. Neither believeth he that it is the sound of the trumpet. He said among the trumpets, Ha, ha! And he smelleth the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains, and the shoutings. Doth the hawk fly by thy wisdom, and stretch their wings toward the south? Doth the eagle mount up at thy command, and make their nest on high? She dwelleth and abideth on the rock upon the crag of the rock, and of and the strong place from hence. She seeketh and prey in her heights, behold, far off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and were slain, or there were slain, or there is she. Moreover the Lord answered Job, and said, Shall he that contendeth with Almighty instruct him? He that reproveth God, let him answer it. Then Job answered the Lord and said, Behold, I am vile. What shall I answer thee? I will lay my hand upon my mouth. Once I have spoken, but I will not answer. Yet twice, but I will proceed no further. Then answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind and said, Gird up thy loins now, like a man. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. And wilt thou also thence annul my judgment? And wilt thou condemn me, and thou mayest be righteous? Hast thou an arm like God, or canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Deck thyself now with majesty and excellency, and array thyself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage of thy wrath, and behold every one that is proud, and abase him. Look on every one that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secrets. Then will I also confess unto thee that thine own right hand can save thee. Behold now, behemoth which I made with thee, he eateth grass as an ox. Lo now his is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar, and sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of God. He that made him can make his sword approach unto him. Surely the mountain bringing him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lieth under the sandy trees, and covered of the reeds of hills. The shady trees covered him with their shadow. The willows of the brook compass him about. Behold, he drinketh up a river, and hasted not. He trusted that he can draw up Jordan into his mouth. He taketh it with his eyes. His nose pierced through snares. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with an hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou latest down? Canst thou put an hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplication unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant for ever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird, or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him, Shall they part him among the merchants? Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, for his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him, remember the battle, do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not conceal his part, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. Who can discover the face of his garment, or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about, his scales are his pride shut up together was with a close seal. One is so near to another that no air can no air can come between them. They are joined to another and they stick together that they cannot be surrendered. By his nestling, a light that shine in his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps and spark of the fire. Leapt out of his nostril goeth smoke, as out of the seeth pot of cauldron. His breath kindled coals, and flame goeth out of his mouth. His neck his remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together, they are firm in themselves, they cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as a stone, yea, as hard as pieces is neither millstone. When he raiseth up himself, and mighty are afraid, by reason of breakings they purify themselves. And the sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold, the spear, the dart, nor the habergeon. His scimitar as straw, and brass as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. Darts are counted and stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of spear. Harpstone are under him, and spreadeth pointed things upon the mire. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh the path to shine after him. One that would think the deep to be Huari. Upon earth there is not his like, who is made without fear. He beholdeth all high things. He is the king over all children of pride. Then Job answered the Lord said, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from thee. Who is that yielded counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered that I understood not, things too wonderful for me, which I knew not. Hear I beseech thee, and I will speak. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now mine eyes seeth thee. Wherefore I have for myself, and repent in the ashes. And it was so that after this And it was so after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, My right is kindled against thee, and against thy two friends, for ye have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job hath. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray to you, shall pray for you. For him I will for him will I accept as a deal with you after your folly, and ye have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad, and Shuhite, and Zophar, and Naamathite went and did according as the Lord commanded them, and the Lord also accepted Job. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job. When he prayed for his friends also, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came here unto him his brethren, and all his sisters, and though they had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house, and they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him piece of money, and every one in an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the later end of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she asses. He also he had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. He called the name of the first Jemima, and the name of the second Keza, Kezia, and the name of the third Kerin Hapuk. And in all land were no woman found so fair as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, and even 4 generations. So Job died being old and full of days. The Book of Psalm.